Hello, everyone. Today, you are in for a treat. No, the treat is not going to be listening to me speak for this segment. In fact, that's the price you're going to have to pay. The treat is receiving the information that is about to be shared. The treat is learning the pro tips for resume writings that were taught to me by other industry experts that I learned through extensive research in the subject and, of course, from successful observations through 15 years of reviewing thousands of resumes and hiring hundreds of people. My name is Zeus Ramirez, and my passion is to help people succeed through making a better resume. You see, in my opinion, it's not just a resume. It's a key that can open doors for better opportunities for you and those around you, those you care about. It'll give you a chance for more fulfilling opportunities. With that being said, let me just state this. A good resume, it's going to be in the eye of the beholder. In other words, every recruiter, every hiring manager will have their own preferences. However, there are still best practices that can be learned and can be shared. The goal today is to share those best practices to help you craft the best version possible for your resume. Our time today will consist of the following topics. The price of admission. These are just the resume's must-haves to be even considered for a position. Standing out from the crowds. I call this the descriptions versus accomplishments. We'll get much more into what that means in a moment, but really standing out from the crowd and showing your value. This is where we'll jump into power words, action verbs, keywords, not buzzwords. For those of you who have done your research, buzzwords, no. Keywords, power words, action verbs, yes. So we will be focusing on that. At that point, we will have our closing thoughts, and you will be free and anxious and ready to start updating your resume. Who's with me to get started? All righty, let's start with the price of admission. Resume must-haves. Now, to some of you, these might be a little bit basic, but I really want to make sure they're covered. I thought about skipping some of these sections, but then I thought, what good would it do to show them the more advanced tips if some of these basic things are missed? They'll disqualify you in the eyes of some recruiters. Again, everything is in the eye of the beholder, but I think most of us can agree that a best practice is to not have typos in your resume, incorrect grammar. You could use a spell check. There's a free program out there called Grammarly that you can use. Have a friend check it. And that's a good tip because a lot of times these tools will know that the word, it's spelled correctly, but it's the wrong word. It's just not making sense, but your friend will be able to pick that up. Also, you may have the most knockout resume anybody's ever seen. I cannot wait to get in touch with you. Oh, wait a second, your email, it just bounced back. Okay, I'll try you on the phone. No, it's the wrong phone number. Make sure your contact information is updated. Make sure it is correct. That is essential. Another basic is don't lie on your resume. Big thing for me is if it's a good fit for you, apply for that position. If you feel like you have to make up or stretch a little bit too much, I'm not saying that you want to stretch yourself and become more proficient in that realm. I'm just saying if it's just not a good fit at all, don't lie on your resume. The worst thing that could ever happen is you will get that job. You'll be miserable, your boss will be miserable, and so will your clients and your customers. One more thing is the formatting. There's different kinds of formatting. We're not going to talk about chronological or functional formatting, but if you pick one, stick with it. Chronological is, 10 years ago I had this job, 7 years ago, 5 years ago. something like that. Functional will be more of, these are all my project management positions, and these are ones that are not as relevant. In a world today, you have to make sure you mention your IT skills. So if you are good with IT, make sure you mention that. Another thing that's been more prevalent recently, I'm sure you'll understand why, is people want to know if you are proficient with Zoom, WebEx, Slack. I've even seen Google Hangouts on resumes. So make sure you emphasize that on your resume. You can have an IT skills section because so many things are being done virtually. For example, Exhibit A, that is a good skill. And I have actually run meetings through Zoom where I've had to do breakout rooms and I've had to be the Zoom master is what we call it. It had a little bit of a learning curve. So my first meeting was not ideal. So if you have those skills, make sure you mention that. Another common question we get is, how long should my resume be? I've seen them around 1 to 2 pages. Around 500 to 600 words is about average for a one-pager. You don't want too much dark on there. You want to have some white space to make it pleasing to the eye. Usually the one page is great for college students coming out, for folks that are entry level that just want to highlight their last few years of activity. 2 pagers maybe for management levels, maybe project managers, somebody who wants to show a bit more depth of knowledge and experience in education, certifications. I once got a resume, I kid you not, I wish I was kidding. It's about 20 pages long. This person wanted to let me know every project they'd ever successfully run and every step and stage of every process. And no, no. So don't do that. Another one of the basics is make sure you put in your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, if you don't have a link to your LinkedIn profile, or you don't have a profile at all, that is probably another class that's happening around this section. It's really essential to have that. It's not necessarily a copy of your resume. It generally highlights different skills. Focus on your LinkedIn profile. That is a whole different seminar. And also something else that really makes it seem outdated or like you're just copying a template is the objective statement. I think most of us here can probably recite a basic objective sentence that we've seen on every single resume since literally 1990. Seeking a position at XYZ company where I can maximize my management, quality assurance, program development, and training experience, blah, blah, blah. Not going to catch the attention of most people. That's just not the way you do it. Okay, so that was pretty much just the basics. Okay, we didn't want to spend too much time on that because I think most of you probably have those basics down. But even if you're just able to get one pro tip to apply to your resume, that could be the difference to help you go from here to just right here, edge out the rest of the competition. And speaking of that, now that we're done with the resume basics, we're moving on to the next section of standing out from the crowd. I want to do a little exercise here and just go with me on this. Imagine a position, maybe your position or another position where there could be a good amount of differentiation. Think about the best employee you've ever seen in that position. If you're thinking about your position, you're probably thinking about yourself because we all think we do a really good job. Now think about the worst person who ever did that job. Same job, the worst person ever, the person who should be written up and or fired. That is the person you're thinking of right now. Think about the different experiences, the different client, customer experience, the different results they get. A lot of times the amount and quality of work between these two diametrically opposed employees. Think about those two. I actually had a situation like that. The names have been changed. Won't mention the company name, but I had Bob and Lacey, who both reported to me on a previous team. They were as different as fire and ice. Bob was slower than molasses in January. He dragged his feet as if they were made of cement. His attitude was so negative. It was like a cancer to the rest of the team. Knowing this, he knew his time on my team was limited. He saw the writing on the wall and he saw the writing right in front of him, if you know what I mean. He found himself updating his resume. Lacey was the complete opposite. She was on the other side of the spectrum. She was an up-and-comer. She was engaged, proactive, and hardworking. She was on the fast track to success, and she decided she needed to update her resume to prepare for her next step. Now, both of them knew that I do this type of resume review and speaking at some time, so they wanted to get some information from me. So I was happy to help both. What I saw nearly brought me to tears. Superstar's resume, 1 foot out the door resume, they were nearly identical. They both had their job descriptions copied and pasted in there. So they both had handle large amounts of inbound, outbound calls in an appropriate manner. Identified customer needs, clarify information, research all issues, and provide solutions. Keep records of every conversation in our database in an understandable way. Think about that for a second. You, the superstar, the other person who you wish would leave the company because they're making your job harder, you're the same. When you use job descriptions, you are putting yourself on the same level as everybody else. If you're Bob, you probably want to be lifted up to the level of Lacey, the superstar. If not, that's not ideal. So what I recommend is ditch the job descriptions. Instead, update it with more of what you have done, specific accomplishments. If you can put numbers in there, that's even better, quantifiable. So after working with Lacey, my superstar, she had this to put in her resume: promoted from associate specialist to specialist 1 after only 6 months in role. Mentored 12 employees during 2-year tenure. Ranked in the top 5% in quality scores for the past 7 quarters. What do you think Bob's accomplishments were during that same period? He stuck with his job description. He knew when he was licked. So when I work with people, I tell them to focus on the differences. You need to stand out from the crowd. I hear this a lot. Hopefully you're not thinking this, but if you are, trust me, there's hope. People have said to me, but I haven't done anything. I wasn't in the top 5% of my quality assurance scores. I've never mentored anybody. If this is true, if it's legitimately true, which most of the time it's not, it's never too late to start. I often find that once I ask people questions, what changed? From when you started, what's different now that wasn't in place before you got there that you suggested? Oh, well, when I first got here, I noticed XYZ process, and I told my boss that at my last company, we did this, and he made the update. There you go. You had a direct influence on that process change. You can also do things like, well, I helped this person. That's mentoring. If you're helping somebody answering questions, if they're doing side-by-sides with you, and you're giving them coaching and feedback, you are mentoring the person. So a lot of times you can find accomplishments even when you don't know they're there because you're just being extremely humble, but they can be there. But also, it's never too late. Volunteer for a stretch assignment. Hey, boss, I'm doing pretty well here. I've got my basic metrics down. Is there something you need help with? Very few times will a manager turn down help. There's certain things that have to remain within the manager's scope, within their influence. They can't have you doing reviews for somebody else or writing somebody else up. But there are a lot of basic tasks that just wear down. They wear down the manager, and they would like some assistance. Maybe it's reporting. Maybe it's something as simple as updating a board, updating a newsletter, something. Those can be stretch assignments that can help you put something on your resume. Raise your metrics from good to great. Just put in the extra time and the extra work. Offer to lead a team meeting. Hey, boss, maybe he won't let you lead the team meeting, but if you ask her, hey, can I do a fun little icebreaker, do that, and then incorporate that into your resume, team building events. Okay, let's move on to the next little subsection here when it comes to your resume. So you want to be able to highlight the differences. How about a professional summary? So I told you guys, ditch the objective statement. That is so 30 years ago, at least. It's probably longer than that when that first became popular. Put in a professional summary. This is where you put a nice little sentence about yourself at the top because you want to. You want to capture the hiring manager, the recruiter, whoever's interviewing you, the talent acquisition specialist. You want to capture their attention soon. You've heard the statistic, 5, 7, 8, 10 seconds, however long it is. That's how long you get to scan their resume and see if this person might be a good fit for your organization. Put the good stuff at the top, a professional sentence. Maybe you can put 3 key competencies that you're really, really good at. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So for example, again, some of the research that I've done, these next couple of examples come from Zety.com, Zety.com, that are, I'd say, very good professional summaries. The first one says, a meticulous and efficient HR manager with 7+ years experience, eager to boost employee retention for ABC company. In a previous position, increased employee retention by 20% year over year, cut recruiting lead time by 30%, also improved employee effectiveness by up to 20%, and boosted participation in training by 15%. Now compare that to put my skills to work, to desire a company, to find a culture, to X, Y, and Z. Nobody cares. That is much more employer focused. I hate to tell you, but a lot of times when the resumes say more like, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, that's kind of a bad place to start off the relationship. Of course, any good employer is going to want to focus on your development. They're going to want to help you grow because many times if you train people and you get them certifications and you help them grow so much that they're able to leave the company, they'll often stay because of how well you've treated them. Sometimes they'll go anyway. That's the way of the world. But they do want you to grow, but it's not best to start out with your hand out. So rather than what they could do for you, focus on what you can do for them. After all, they're the ones that are paying you. A second example from that same website, Zety.com, a professional summary. Energetic and optimistic customer service representative with 3 years of professional experience, assisting customers in solving complex issues. Keen to support ABC Incorporated. See how they're wanting to help in becoming a market leader through proven customer service skills. This person was awarded Consultant of the Month 3 times. Again, I never won that. Let's get started. Help reduce first response time by 20% within the first quarter of employment. Those are great professional summaries. Remember that. Put that towards the top. These are professional summaries. Along with that, a lot of times after you have that at the top, maybe the section under that has something called areas of expertise. I think we used to call them core competencies. They might still be called that in some sectors. But this is where people will be able to see that during that 8-second scan. They'll be able to see, this person has the skills we need for business analysis, strategic planning, budget and finance. Maybe they have high touch customer service skills, conflict resolution, negotiations. These are words that must be true about you. Again, going back to the integrity factor, these must be things that are true. Trust me, you don't want a job that you're not qualified for. You'll know it. They'll know it. The customer will know it. And you'll be updating your resume sooner than later. What I do recommend is something that is overlooked by so many people. The hiring manager, the recruiter, the HR, senior management, somebody spent a good amount of time crafting their important document, their job description. They put their heart and soul into what kind of a person do we need to be successful in this position. I think if we're honest, most of us don't pay that job description as much attention as we should. We look at it and say, okay, you remember the title. Maybe you remember some of the benefits, maybe some of the qualification requirements. That's it. The next question is, how much does it pay and when do I start? Value the information in the job description. Look at which words are in there. Which words are repeated over and over again? Do you see customer service? Do you see brand identity? Do you see learning and development, leadership? Do you see mentoring, coaching? What do you see in there? Team dynamics. Whatever you see, maybe highlight it every time you see it and think of that count. Again, if those skills aren't in your wheelhouse, apply for something else. If it is a strong fit for you, that's the position you should apply for. That's the position you are going to succeed in. Give yourself every opportunity to get your foot in the door, get that interview by putting those words in your resume. Zeus, do you mean just copy and paste the job description in there? No, but use those specific words. Use them in your professional summary. Focus on that. Use them in your areas of expertise, in your core competencies. It's generally just a bunch of words all in a little block. Put those in there so that the hiring manager, the recruiter, and sad to say also the automatic tracking system, the ATS, the person that's not even a person, that's a thing, the computer that will sometimes be used to scan for those keywords. And those things are efficient. One time I actually had my application returned to me. It said, thanks, but no thanks, while I was still filling out the resume, while I was still filling out the application. Okay, I was just making sure you were listening. That's not possible. It's not that advanced. But what I am saying is we have sent some back instantly because the automatic tracking system will note that there's just no keywords. There is not a good fit. Statistically speaking, it saves the recruiter a lot of time. So get your foot in the door. Defeat the automatic tracking system by putting in true, appropriate words that describe your strengths and your accomplishments. Put those in there. Use them in your professional summary. Use them in your resume for accomplishments. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Use that any place where you can to give you a fighting chance. There is a tool I'm also going to recommend to you. You want to see how your resume stacks up versus the job description? You copy and paste the job description into this website. You copy and paste your resume into this website, and it will tell you how much of a match you are. And it'll say, this job description obviously focused heavily on project management skills, and your resume focuses on customer service soft skills. Maybe it's not a good match. But if you're thinking, I am a project manager, I have my PMP, you just need to tweak your resume. The name of that website is www.jobscan, so the word job, JOB, SCAN, jobscan.co, jobscan.co. I believe they give you a certain number of them free, and then after that, they're going to want to charge you. So just keep that in mind. Get your couple free ones, see if you like it. I don't work for them, so it doesn't really make any difference to me whether you use that service or not. But I have found it helpful. And again, just sharing tools and sharing resources, that will let you know how you're doing. Okay. We've already gone through the resume basics. We've gone through the second section for the differentiation. Now we're going to go through show your value. Show your value with power words, action verbs, keywords. Again, this goes back to matching the job description. The ATS, the automatic tracking system, is going to look at those. So we've already talked about why they're important. Now, what words can you use? You can use words that are... See, this is the thing. Sometimes the words become so popular, they become buzzwords, and they actually become a turnoff. Like a cliche. People will overuse the words. LinkedIn, they haven't done it for the past couple of years, but they do have the most, I won't say overused or tired, but they'll say the most common buzzwords in LinkedIn profiles. And you know what those words are. You've probably seen a whole bunch of them. But in fact, I'm going to give you guys a list in a little while. You don't want to overuse those. Let me give you some Okay, I'm going to skip to that section because I'm really excited about it. I'll go back to another section first. But these examples come from a website called Sweet CV. So CV is another word for resume. SweetCV.com. They had some of the best examples that I could find. So the buzzword is results driven. I think I probably have that in my resume. So, I'm preaching to the choir myself here. They're not necessarily bad, but don't just say results driven. Tell them why you're results driven. Give some facts, give some figures to the recruiter, to the hiring manager. The example used here is you identified inefficiencies in scheduling. You rolled out a new system, cutting the overtime bill by 40% in 6 months. That sounds like somebody who is results driven. We call that show, not tell. Show, not tell. What about experienced? I'm very experienced. Experienced in what? Experienced for how long? It could be relative. Okay, how about this? I studied and applied the details of sales in a startup, spending 5 years on the sales floor across 2 separate companies. Okay, that lets me know you have some experience. You've got some breadth of knowledge and you've got some time put in. What about creative? I'm so creative. Okay, talk about the idea that you brought to the table and maybe in your previous job and some results. Okay, I proposed to my client to offer treats and water to the pets for their customers for free with any drinks that they bought to increase marketing channels to pet owners. The results? Revenue jumped up 20% in the first month. That's pretty creative. You've seen probably a lot of small businesses put bowls of water out there, especially on a hot day. That happened to be when I was in San Francisco. Saw a lot of bowls of water. In fact, my wife just said that our little puppy had something called a puppuccino. I think it was at Starbucks. So obviously it's a creative idea. Focused. I'm so focused. Blah, blah, blah. You're focused. Buzzword. How about tell me a time when you had a tough target and you hit it? So submitted a fully functional 25-page website in 3 weeks that was live 1 week later with no bugs reported within the first 6 months. There's a lot here. Responsible, successful, passionate. You're getting the point. Don't tell me, show me. Put that in your job. Instead of the job description, put these accomplishments that will all feed back up toward the job description that will get past the automatic tracking system that goes back to the house that Jack built. Some of you older folks may get that rhyme. Okay, so let's go back to the section that I skipped. I was just excited. Make sure that you put good information in there. You don't want to put managed departments request for supplies, supported customers over the phone, saved company money in the billing department. I mean, that is dry. That is, oh no. I mean, if you're a recruiter or a hiring manager and you are having a little trouble sleeping, you pick up some of these resumes, you save them. Responsible for weekly newsletter. Responsible. That's one of the most overused and tired. I'm responsible for this many things, responsible for those tasks. Oh my goodness. And the sad thing is, change knowledge base for better search results. That's not a bad one, but it doesn't have the quantifiables. It doesn't have the results. It's about as exciting as a book on corporate tax law. So put some zing into it. Itemized department supplies, monitored inventory levels, use verbs, use action verbs, you dispatched items to the employee. You fielded support requests. I wasn't responsible for for service report requests. I fielded them. I resolved issues. I educated remote clients to deflect callbacks. Some of the ones that have more numbers, consolidated similar processes, so doing like tasks together in billing departments, yielding 40% cost savings. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? Revitalized the knowledge base. I didn't just work on the knowledge base, I revitalized it. Integrating customer language, resulting in a 20% higher resolution rate. That is beautiful. That is how you have to do it. So these power words are all going to be the most ideal way. Do you want somebody who saved money or somebody who slashed their budget by 10%? I reduced costs. Thank you for reducing cost. I'm a superhero. I slashed budgets by 10%. That gets my attention. That gets my blood pumping. So that is the basic idea. I know we're coming closer to the end of our time. So that is it. Last little point to kind of add in there is the tone, the culture, the fit. What do I mean by that? When you apply to Google, those kind of startup companies, more of the, you know what I mean, the Google mentality, entrepreneurship. It's okay to be a guru, a virtuoso, and a ninja at the same time while applying to those. If the job description is basic, then stick to more, acceptable terms such as an expert. You can be a ninja after hours. So in closing, we've talked about the price of admission, the resume must-haves. Make sure you cover your bases. Cross your T's, dot your I's. Everything needs to be copacetic to get you in the door, thus the price of admission. Make sure you stand out from the crowd. Do not put descriptions in there. You will be the same as everybody else. Put your accomplishments in there. I don't have accomplishments. Get to work. Get to work on those accomplishments. Think about it. You might have more than you think already. Show your value by using power words, action verbs, key words. Again, go to those websites that I told you, and you'll be able to get good examples to be able to see what does that look like. Play around with it. You can make a very significant difference in your resumes. You'll get more callbacks. You might get your foot in the door for that position that truly fits you, that you really think you'd be a great asset to that company. Now, hopefully one of these other seminars will give you some basic interviewing skills to be able to get past that hurdle as well. But get your foot in the door. Again, like I said, the resume is not just a piece of paper. It is the most important document about yourself that you will ever write. Treat it that way. Respect it. It can open doors. It can get you jobs, which will bring more satisfaction to your life, more fulfillment. And hey, if it brings you more money too, that's a bonus. Your family will appreciate it. Everyone around you will see that you are fulfilled and you will be able to add value to the company itself. Hopefully you've enjoyed these tips. Once again, my name is Zeus Ramirez. I hope you have a good time for the rest of this event, and I will see you during the interview. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.